To protect my daughter, I trapped her in a small machine, less than 10 square meters. Every time I brought supplies, we kept our distance. My daughter had a rare disease and could only breathe filtered air. I thought she'd live her whole life in this coffin, but then the unexpected happened. The purification system suddenly powered on, and even worse, yellow gas began pouring out into the streets. Anyone who inhaled it collapsed. I walked down the street confused, but before I could take more than a few steps, a larger wave of gas rushed toward me. I froze, and the gas hit me head on. The street turned into chaos. I ran home as fast as I could. Once I got inside, I pulled my wife away from the window. The next second, the toxic gas surrounded the window, seeping in through every crack. With my daughter in the purification room, I set it to energy-saving mode, and quickly grabbed my wife to leave. The gas was rapidly moving upstairs. We had no choice but to run to the top floor. A kind elderly couple lived there, and they let us in. We stepped onto the balcony, looking down at the terrifying scene below, speechless. But that wasn't the worst part. The entire city was covered in toxic fog. The gas had caused a power outage, and though my daughter was safe in the purification system, the backup battery wouldn't last until tonight. I decided to take the risk and go downstairs to change the battery. I carefully tested the air. The gas was invisible and odorless, but deadly. Changing the battery would take over 10 minutes, which most people wouldn't survive. I suddenly remembered an elderly man downstairs who always kept oxygen tanks in his house. For my daughter, I decided to climb down using the water pipes. Before entering the toxic fog, I took a deep breath, holding it in, and quickly made it to the target floor. I broke through a window and entered the elderly man's home. Just as I was about to search, I saw the elderly man lying on the floor, but he was already dead. I didn't have time to feel sorrow because I was running out of air. Even worse, the oxygen tank he usually carried with him was nowhere to be found. I panicked, grabbing a flashlight and searching everywhere, but couldn't find it. Just as I was about to suffocate, I found the oxygen tank in the corner. I quickly put on the mask, opened the valve, and breathed in just in time. Once I recovered, I grabbed the backup tank and was about to leave when I heard a noise from the bedroom. Driven by curiosity, I raised the hammer and opened the door, only to find a small dog inside. Strangely, the dog was fine and was even excited. I wondered if animals were immune to the toxic gas, but soon, the sight inside disproved that theory. The mother dog in the room had already died. I was puzzled, but didn't have time to think more. Back home, I successfully swapped the battery for my daughter and brought some supplies. To gather more batteries, I went back downstairs. The street was littered with bodies, foaming at the mouth. The scene was horrifying. I tightened my grip on the oxygen mask and crawled under a car, gathering as many batteries as I could. Just as I was about to leave, I heard a whistle. Curious, I walked over and saw a large group of people. I approached them and found out they were soldiers sent to evacuate survivors. The whole city had fallen, and the higher-ups decided to seal the city after rescue operations. As the captain saw my makeshift oxygen tank, he handed me a pure oxygen tank